Alright guys, welcome back to another video from the Streamers Blitz Cup. Here I am about to start playing with Adriana Palao, a woman candidate master and also a streamer. She's super cool, one of the people that I actually bonded with the most, and it's been nice getting to know her throughout the tournament, and now is the time to play her on the board. So I decided to start with e4, and here we have a Philidor on board. A position and an opening that is not quite familiar to me, and perhaps that's why she chose it, to play an opening that is not quite usual to see at this level, perhaps. But yeah, I'm simply developing the pieces. Here I need to secure my pawn on e4. Knight e2 does just that. She castles, and then I decided to play h3, kind of preventing a knight g4 battering with my bishop on e3. So c3 is to get a nice square on c2 for my bishop, perhaps. It maybe needed to retreat. And I'm looking for ways to strike at that b5 pawn that she has there, perhaps with a4. And here I decided to either take or play queen e2. That was the option that I was considering. Queen e2 is actually pretty solid, pretty normal, and I was thinking that I should not invite her knight over into my section of the board, but yeah, after a5 I actually caved, and I actually decided to trade. And now my bishop is a bit bad. It is inside the pawn structure, and perhaps one day I could open up the scope of that light squared bishop once I get my knight on f5. So here with bishop a6 there's a threat incoming, because the bishop is aligned against my queen and rook. I play c4, which is dubious, and this was my idea of getting my knight in there, but of course she doesn't take, and now my bishop is even worse. So I've kind of begun digging my own grave here, and it's not cool at all. So here's she's looking at perhaps bringing her knight to the party on f4 or on d4. I play b3, kind of cementing my bishop as the worst bishop in the history of bishops. But I actually need to get my rooks playing ASAP and pray for the best here. That bishop is super horrendous, and all my hope here now is to get some action on the king side. This is a blitz game, so simple moves are required. She puts her rook in the center, and I decided to do the same. Here I actually started thinking that perhaps I could relocate my knight through b1 and c3, kind of like making pressure against that b5 point, and one day perhaps gain access to the d5 square once that gets cleared up. Once there is no pawn on c6, then my knight on d5 is cool. She's threatening to double, and this plan actually started to make more sense in my mind, and there we have it, knight b1. All I want is for my queen to be a bit more healthy, I believe, and I can only do so if my queen gets on a dark square. But now she finds knight f4, a brilliant move, straightforward move that makes perfect sense, attacking all of the points closer to my king. And now I will lose a pawn with tempo because it will strike on f1. My rook's hanging, and I need to make sure I do not lose that rook. Also, the pawn on a2 is threatened, and I decided to exchange one of the rooks and perhaps get control of the only open file that is relevant right now, because the file on b1 is not that relevant, the b file. But now I'm perfectly lost. I'm just trying to stir up some trouble on the king side. That's my last hope. I'll try to push some pawns and see if I can get her into some time trouble and under pressure. Because blunders do happen, and I just need to be sharp enough to see it and to make the best out of that, if it happens. So knight h4 with idea of knight f5, trying to extend the scope of my light squared bishop, and maybe one day, if takes, play f6, and there are some ideas on h7. That knight on f4 that she has is super aggressive, very well placed, and I'm here basically trying to stir up some trouble. Nothing fancy, only playing moves that, even though they are dubious, they are correct from a practical point, because they give me chances. If the position gets weird, it will benefit the side that is lost either way, which is me, of course, right now. Here she's basically thinking about shall I trade or not. One thing to consider in these positions is if the passed pawn can push on its own, and will it be decisive. Okay, so knight d5 was a mistake because I have queen c5, and with queen c5 I could threaten knight takes d5 and rook takes d5 again, because the pawn would be pinned and the queen could not move. Okay. Here I thought about playing f6 directly, I thought about playing h4. Eventually I decided that it was time to bring my bishop back, because it was hanging and there was no need to get into crazy stuff just yet. We are getting over at the 30 seconds mark each, so anything could happen. Now it's time to stir up some trouble. f6 was on my mind, f6 was incoming, so maybe she needs to do something about that. Otherwise my bishop sees the king, and yeah, she does it. So f6 on her own, which is a bit dubious according to the computer, but it would give me chances. So now I get control of the c file, and there are ideas of playing something like rook c7 and striking at the heart of the king's position with g7. And now it's time to try and have access to those light squares, maybe have access to c4 check, queen opposite the king, and now I'm just thinking about h4, h5, h6, and the pawn starts rolling. Her pawn starts rolling too, but h5 comes and she plays h6. Now I have a strong grip on g6, and in this position my time is running low. I'm just trying to see if there's some combination, some tactic. The bishop comes back, trying to see if there's bishop a2 check, queen d5, which is a mistake because I have rook c7 attacking that hard, but I actually play rook c2 and my time goes out. So yeah, so no time, I lost on time. It was a combative game. Out of the opening I was a bit messy, not my best chess here, and she played very well, I think. She took advantage of the opportunities I gave her, and she played pretty well. So well game to my opponent. But yeah, here we were talking about what happened, and there was also a funny moment where we started making some faces and thinking like, where did the pawns go? Like, why did I lose my 2 pawns? And I think it's here that I'm thinking like, where are the pawns? But yeah, super cool. So guys, please make sure you subscribe, and let's see how the next games go. 3 to go. So yeah, this is with Adriana. Thank you. Bye bye guys. Bye.